Welcome to the Protector Culture Podcast with Jimmy Graham. Jimmy is a veteran U.S. Navy SEAL, a former protective officer for the CIA Global Response Staff, founder and CEO of the Able Shepherd Program, a husband and father of 4, and a personal friend of mine. Now here's Jimmy.
Hey everybody, welcome back to the Protector Culture Podcast with Jimmy Graham. I'm your host, Jimmy Graham. We are joined today by the Sage. So usually many times I say this episode brought to you by Able Nation. Take it away, bro. Look at the man right here, BK.
I'm right here, man. Churches, schools, civic groups, material and training for the purpose of safety and security. That's what we've been doing since, what do you think, Jimmy, 2018?
Sounds right.
When we created that. So we're still here. We're still helping. We've been doing a lot of scholarships. I'd say March was a record scholarship month for us. We did 13 in 1 month.
Nice.
So that is all been church security teams. I encourage you all to get in touch with us. That's probably the best place we can spend our money to make a difference in the community.
Amen.
So
able-nation.org. Looking for Neil Pinkham. We call him the Sage. And very easy, what do you call it, application. And then we'll get them taken care of, yeah?
Yeah.
You ready for this one, brother?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, all right, we doing okay?
It's like a flood of feelings at this time to leave and be thinking about all this.
Yeah.
So usually I just like to sneak out in the middle of the night.
Street lights are on, right?
Street lights are on.
Street lights are on.
Well,
Pinkham's going to be. The street lights are on. He's past counting sheep. He's
no pulling up
under the bidet and the duvet. Not the bidet. Off the bidet, under the duvet. All right, we're also joined by BK in the house. What's up, BK?
How you guys doing?
Doing good, brother. Got the mic finally. Yes. Able Shepherd 051. Randy's right here somewhere. He helped us. He got some stills, and he's going to be popping in and out and getting some pics. Randy Culpepper, Able Shepherd 154, and we've got royalty in the house. We got Miss Vanjie Pinkham in the house. What's happening?
The Queen showed up.
She wanted to be here for this event. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you for everything. This is going to be a rough one to get through. It's bittersweet. Let's just jump in. You ready?
I am, brother.
We got the Kleenex?
Yes.
Put that right there so we can get to it.
Yeah.
All right, man. Let's just get into it. Who is Neil Pinkham? Why don't you introduce yourself?
Well, born in Iowa, came up through school there, did part of my education at Northern Iowa and part at Louisiana State. That's why I fell in love with Louisiana when I was down there, taken in by a Southern family. Back to Denver, fumbled around for a good many years in there, a lot of screw-ups, until I met my beautiful wife. And from first date to marriage, 7 months, 35 years ago. So that one worked. Got that one right. So thank you very much, Miss Vanjie. And been in the construction industry. That's pretty much how I made the career. I tried to get into medical school. Did not do well at that, Jimmy. Did not do well at that. I'm not a particularly good student. Really good at the knowledge of it, but I don't buckle down very well.
Yeah.
I was fueling jets all through college, and I like that more than going to college, so to give you an idea. So anyway, fast forward till 6 years ago, I was shooting guns over at Centennial Gun Club, trying to work their passport program to see if I could learn some stuff, kind of a self-taught deal. Definitely got into the shotgun management of household safety. And so you're kind of punching down that road, checking off your passport, and then I noticed Dick Abrams came up to me one night. She said, "Look at this, Jimmy Graham's coming up here, U.S. Navy SEAL." I said, "Oh my gosh, I got to check that out." Teaching active shooter response training, I think it was. Duty to Act was coming to teach active shooter response training. So I love to tell the story, and I've told it 1,000 times. I'll do it again. On April 16th, 2016, rainy, drizzly,
I love that he remembers the
snowy day, I convinced Van she was going to go with me. We go down to the annex, walk in, and we meet Rachel and Rebecca, the first two people we meet. And we go through, we get a little snack, and we're kind of lining up by that big table, looking at the TV all set up. You were going in and out, kind of getting your process ready. At that time, I had no idea what a situation room was, nor a black bucket over your head, nor how you release those kind of things, nor the fact you're going to shoot it out in there. And you said, you came out and you said, I need a volunteer. And I shot my hand up. I said, that's for me. I got to do that. And you picked me. And so I went in there. And I go into that low light, white noise, high tension. And you show me, just push this lever, what I say. And you go into the bucket in those days. And you went under the bucket. I had no idea what to expect. I just pushed the lever and stand in the corner. And all of a sudden, bad guys and good guys are everywhere, and you're shooting it out so fast. I say, what the That's scary stuff.
Body dropping, people getting slammed in the face.
That was kind of like real. So then you did 3 of those, walked out, and I can remember doing that kind of high five glass.
Yeah.
It was a perfect hit. I said, man, that was a perfect hit. I got to be an omen of something.
You can't put a performance like that on and mess up the thug hug.
They walked out and joined, and then there was no looking back. That was just like, that was an awesome connection. I was hooked day one. And I think all of us, I searched my heart, and I said this to you countless times in our relationship about the legend, the mythology of the U.S. Navy SEALs. I mean, they are so well done, promoted in Hollywood and everywhere you go. It's just amazing. And then to say, okay, here's the legend right here. And at that point, it's the legend. You're kind of awed by the whole thing. And say, man, how does a guy like me measure up to this whole thing? You're not going to be a SEAL, but is there just a little bit of it you can be? Can you just absorb it and kind of understand it? And I'm not sure that's what happens, but you sure do get a lot better at what you do. And I was always pleased to say that, maybe a year for all that to wear off, that the man, Jimmy Graham, was even better than the legend.
What?
Jimmy Graham.
Look at this.
So much better.
This night's about you, brother.
That's how I
thank
got
you,
here,
thank
brother.
you. I appreciate that.
And
I really do.
I have always said that, we were talking just the other day about quiet strength. And I said to you, when you're teaching, I've never seen more quiet strength. It's like you don't bust people, you're not hard on people, you're so gentle with them when you correct them and show them the right way. It's so encouraging, so light. So that's the part that's so amazing. That's gentle strength right there. We were trying to analyze that last Wednesday morning a little bit. So
I appreciate that, brother. We knew we were going to need those
you learned all
Kleenex.
that.
Let me, if I can real quick kind of share, there's no way, like this video says, we're playing a video from the Lineage Ride, right, 2019, and how we wrap that up. I'm going to share just a little taste of what Neil Pinkham has done for me and my family, and Abel Shepherd, and then I'm going to switch it and ask you. So I don't think that you knew when you were getting into this, because we just struck up a friendship. I think there's a same cloth kind of thing, cut from the same cloth, and we just became buddies. And then you see where the where the legend dies, where you're like, hey, Navy SEAL, and then you go, and then you see my amazing tact for numbers. How I love spreadsheets and how I love performers and how I love
how good you are at it.
Man, I hate that. The best compliment, one of the best compliments, probably the best compliment I've ever received in my life. I don't know anybody that can do what you do, Jimmy. This is easy for me. Let me do this for you. You go be you.
Oh yeah, I remember that. That actually got said in kind of a series of 4 or 5 discussions.
Yeah.
That whole message. You encapsulate it, but we talked about those very things. We evolved into that over about 3-4 messages back and forth, and got that clear. Yeah.
To get those, when I've said it this way: when you're barely treading water, as a guy who's been called to do a thing, and that thing fails, and you grind through, this, the railroad, integrity fundraising, my church, like all this stuff, and you go back to a hard reset. And you're barely treading water, and somebody gives you another book to read, right? You're like, hey, I'm barely above water, and you go, you know what? This is a really good book. Let me put that right there. And then somebody else does.
There's an anchor.
Just what it means from somebody, and I don't know that this can be articulated well from somebody who hasn't lived that, who hasn't been through some hardship, and then saying, I know that look, and I'm here to help. It measures on a different scale. So thank you for that. So I don't know that you knew that you were getting into what you were getting into, that you were going to get into marriage counselor, that you were getting into life coach, that you were going to get into business management, pro forma. The list goes on. That you're going to be running around supporting dudes on motorcycles across the country. That you're going to be driving out to make honorary able shepherds. It's a lot.
Yeah.
But what we found is that whole sharing life thing.
Yeah.
That's such a small taste of what I got from this. Care to share? What did you get from this whole deal?
Wow. Well, on the able shepherd side, I didn't have a lot of these kind of experiences. I'd shot a lot of shotguns in my life. I had a lot of birds. And all we do is pull a pistol out and see if we could hit something. And that was about my max exposure to handguns. And never touched an AR before I got here. So I didn't come in with any skill set, just a willingness to learn. So one, at the start of this, I said, well, there's no way a fool like me is going to be able to pass able shepherd, but I'm not quitting. But I was loaded with performance. Like, if you got up there, if you studied for an able shepherd and you got finally ready to take a test and you failed, and most didn't, it wasn't many of us back then. I was 14. Skip and Brent and a lot of those guys were, Chad, you guys were all able shepherds already. And it took me 3 times, and I would say, oh my gosh, I don't think I have the skill sets to do this. Except that I kept hearing the message, hey, it's not about the passing, it's about the process and the training. Just take it great. You get a chance to train more. Yeah. What are you worried about? So that relieved the pressure and taught me kind of how to focus back on the process, not on the pressure of performance. Now, that's a major lesson. I hate to say it took me till 64, 65 to kind of make that kind of an advancement in that way, but it's true, and it's paid off many, many times. Then there's the camaraderie and the group, and it's a loving, service-minded group. You're just surrounded by what I like. People, it encourages you down the road in that way. And then there's everything that you and I and all the great guys like BK and, Jason and all these guys. Jeff was in my class, all this history come together, and you're a part of that. And you kind of grown with it. It's so big now, it's there's so many people. Yeah. I don't even know them all anymore. And then you and I have taken this walk together, and the other day I was saying to you, it's funny that people are paying respect to me on the street. It's like young people are paying. Everywhere I go, people are kind of nice to me, hello, sir, and they want to talk to you. It's like, what the heck happened? Did I get grayer overnight or something? I guess I did. But there's
what? I know what that is. Can I interject real quick? And I'm sorry to interrupt you. This is for Jason Campbell, because he told me, he's like, hey, I'm sorry I can't make it. Tell Pinkham whatever. And he wanted me to bring up street cred. That's called street cred, Pinkham. So, BK, do you know the story? We're walking out of Alpha Charlie's, right? And we look over, and this car stops, and it appears to be, we don't know if it's an argument, but and somebody says something to Neil, and he says something to somebody, and all this other stuff. I go, Pinkham, you good? And he goes, I'm good. And then whatever. He comes over, and he goes, it was a Mexican guys? And
Two black guys.
And you started talking to him about some politics or whatever, and when they left, he goes, you know what he said when he left? He said, later, homie. Yeah. He goes, I'm homie. I'm like, bro, you got street cred. That's that respect, that glow. They initiated you.
Yeah, we were talking a racial question there. I was asking their opinion on it. Some big just had happened, It was kind of amazing.
That was funny.
But I don't know. I guess the composite of all that is, it's nice later in life to be so engaged and having to think and do, so you don't just get old and kind of lay back. And you absorb all that, and it becomes part of it. I said the other day, I got some Jimmy Graham in me now. And I just, I don't back down as easy. I just don't. I
can be good and bad.
So it's a weird, all that has happened as a result. Not everything in my life has happened, but that part of it has happened in the last 6 years as a composite to everything that's happened here. So.
It's funny you say you got some Jimmy Graham. And that's, as iron sharpens iron, that goes both ways. You've had to check me in your own Neil Pinkham way. This is my favorite. I say something about Rachel, and I'm not complaining. We're very respectful, and I'm not saying this because you're in the room. We're very respectful to the ladies in our life, and we air out. We're very real, and we talk about it. And when Neil looks up and he goes, he breaks eye contact. He stares at the wall, and goes, I believe believe I'd let that one go. I know to plant a flag in that one, and I need to think about that one long and hard. And it's yes, it's the words you say, because those have weight. But who says them? From the person who's coming, do they have more weight coming from because of the relationship we built? Would you agree?
Yes.
Yeah.
You have trust and you believe in.
Yeah.
That it's real stuff coming at you.
Yeah.
That's right.
And I said this the other day. It's ironic to me that the Navy SEAL, the CIA bodyguard, all this other stuff. It is ironic to me that it's funny that I have all these people protecting me. And Neil Pinkham is the lead. If there's a point, his name is Neil Pinkham, and he's saying to get to him, you have to go through me.
Interesting.
Whether it's a spreadsheet, whether it's a this or that, whether it's a whatever, your job, we've said this many times, your job is to protect me from my own stupidity, numbers, extravagant buys. I was about to buy, I saw gas prices are going up. I'm going to buy a 4-banger Toyota, blah, blah, blah. And he said, my vote would be no. Like, I'm not going to tell you what to do. You're a grown man, Jimmy, but my vote would be no. And we ran the numbers and the math. He said, I said, you know what? I'm going to go put the money back in the bank.
Yeah.
So thank you for that.
Yeah.
Walk me through a typical weekly meeting with Jimmy Graham.
Oh, fascinating. Fascinating. We have tried out no less than 125 places, so I can't quite peg it to a place too much.
Most recently, I like our new place.
We have gotten into this groove at the corner bakery and get some food. And so it begins with one or the other of us kind of just downloading. You come in with more, you're ready, you're charged and ready. So generally you lead off and you'll talk about what's going on and relationships and kind of what you're learning and struggles and frustrations about it, and I'll listen. Sometimes I'll do the same back. I'll sort of say, here's where Vange and I are on those kind of things, and here's the kind of things we struggle with. And I'm sure she'd have many of her own stories on that, but I'm going with mine tonight, darling. I'm a relatively good guy.
Give her the mic. Don't give her the mic, BK.
Don't give her the mic. And then we'll talk through, we'll do a lot of very personal stuff, and we will jump to vignettes of business. In the last 6 months, have been heavily about the new building, about what we can make work and what we can't make work, or how far are we leaning, are we still within a reasonable range of doing the kind of things we're doing. Those are really hard-pressed ideas, and it's important. We're always remeasuring, because it's a moving picture all the time. We'll do a lot of that, and then we'll talk a little bit about cash and a little bit about the numbers. These days, we're much more organized than in the early days. And so sometimes I'd like to kind of teach you about the whole thing, and sometimes you want to, but really we do best when we just lock in on some particular indexes that help you run the business. And we've kind of shifted from, you and I are doing the business in a small way just together, making the decisions. Now it's bigger and there's a lot more people. So now we talk about it sort of more after the fact and measure what's happened and talk about ways to do it. So really, almost all the time, we're kind of arming you to know how to run the business, know kind of where to look for kind of things, what I see. And we're checking each other's life up and enjoying each other. And all of that in the main meeting's probably 2 hours a week. Last 2 weeks ago, I was kind of leaning back, and I leaned back into the aisle. I still think this is so funny. This guy, I lean back like this, kind of on my head, and this big guy walks on and he whacks me in the side. He's coming out with these coffees and stuff. He looks at me and he was like pissed. What did you just do to me? Like, he didn't say that, but he was looking at me like that. And then he looks over at Jimmy. He looks back at me, he turns around and walks away. I said, hey, I didn't really mean to do that. As I'm laughing, I said, he looked at you, Jimmy. He got that. he looked at you and backed right on me.
See, and I have a different story. I think he looked back and said, I think I can take that little guy, but that guy will shoot me. He's got that look. He's going to put me in the ground.
That's that new look, that 6-year look.
So when you guys are in the coffee shop, I've heard names, nicknames.
Oh, who's Heidi and Gretchen?
Oh, wow. You want to take that one?
You want me to?
You started. It's a funny one, man.
So we go in there, and Kate Dalby, everybody knows Kate because of the last podcast. one time she was grabbing coffee. She says, "Hey, Jimmy, I'm stopping by here." I go, "Yeah, get me something. I'm kind of sick of my usual. Just grab something, whatever." She hands me this delicious concoction, whatever, and I go, "What is this?" She goes, "It's a dirty chai." And it's kind of become like it's I don't know, whatever. It's a little bit spicy. I don't even know what's in it. I know the chai tea latte kind of thing, and it's got some espresso in it or whatever. And then you got something. What's your frou-frou drink? It was like
it had to be something like
whatever
that,
they handed us. It looked like 2 birthday cakes. It was like
with
2
cream
cupcakes
on top,
with like. Then they did this stuff which I forgot to tell them, and it was like this. And I was like, brother, like. I don't know. Look what we're ordering. Like, what happened here, you know? And Neil's usually like a black coffee guy, but it was just funny. And then I said something like, there were a couple Valley girls in here ordering these little frou-frou coffee things. And I go, "What would your Valley girl name be?" And you said, "Heidi." And I said, "Well, what's mine?" And he said,
"Gretchen."
And he didn't pause, like he had thought about this. And I'm like, "What?" And then we laughed, and we were like with like 2 little Valley girls sitting there ordering their little frou-frou cupcakes and liquid cupcakes, and that became a thing. So it's like when we meet at the coffee shop. Back when it was the coffee shop, there would be these silly drinks, and it became kind of the story of Heidi and Gretchen.
Unashamedly,
just owning it.
That stuck with us.
Oh, funny. Let's see. So so Able Nation? We did an intro on that. What does that mean to you? You know, we've talked about the past of it, what it could be in the future. You know, what does that mean? What have you seen through that? You know, there's been some recent new activity there, and it's we're moving the needle toward good.
Yeah.
Let's say Neil Pinkham.
I'd say that the way it was born was very pure and very real. Thus, we had a really good start on this thing, and we've refined it out. We kind of, at first, we were varying our pathway more. I think we got more locked on to the kinds of things, because when you come up with our mission statement, you know, churches, schools, civic groups, material and training for the purpose of safety and security, you limit yourself what you can do, and that is the nature of a 501c3 defining itself and staying within the rails. We kept getting better, and we were started with the schools, but the schools didn't go too far with us. So we really expanded the churches. And so what I know today is that I feel like when we're doing the scholarships, we're putting the money towards the most real thing we can do to make an impact. Nice to give a trauma kit away. Most times it won't get used. It's just kind of a one-time thing, or maybe they'll come and join. Add that to when we're doing a lot of training for church, I think it's even better because it kind of makes the package better. And I keep thinking that we need to somehow evolve that in a more meaningful way, broaden it a little bit. Mm-hmm. I like our concept. I like the fact that we were down there in Castle Rock in the Christian schools figuring out how to do man traps. You know, every bit of that's a training exercise for me. And how we could better kind of give electronic screens, cameras, and you were just pulling that out of your garage on certain cameras and stuff. People were kind of contributing and going out, and guys were coming to help you. I remember Jeff and I were down there with you one day. Yeah. And so from that, we realized, because we were coming up with a lot of dough to get, what are the crash bars and all that kind of stuff. So it was really pure, and I feel like we've done a good job, and it hasn't gotten the focus that other things has. It's done all right, and now I think we should, as we talk about making it bigger, we should redefine what are those areas we're missing that can be equally valuable, that kind of thing. So that's kind of where I see it today. I feel like it's been a pure deal, and I think some churches have tapped into it very heavily. Others haven't tapped into it at all. You know, it's kind of slow. So
Repeater might be. I don't know if you know, Repeater's going in. Maybe if it's not up already, it's within the next couple of days.
Very cool. Tell me about that deal.
Yeah, we one of the things as far as community safety and all that stuff is pointed up is if these cell phones don't work one day, we're in a pickle. We play with radios. We do some stuff. We get legal, you know, and get licensed and all that. But we identified the opportunity to put a repeater up in Castle Rock. There are 4 people that chose to be a part of this group, and it's very it's very open, meaning that the groups that we I'll call them preparedness groups, but these are great community groups, can actually pick that up and talk to anybody through that. Not only Castle Rock, it gets up to Elizabeth, up to Castle Pines, like that whole immediate area, to where if you had an emergency and you needed some help, then there'd be good folks on the other end.
Great safety
the same. Yeah, so it's amazing. And if you could share real quick, without sharing names, of the Native American children that we're supporting.
Yeah. Beautiful thing that happened up there in Montana with, we call it the Northern Cheyenne Family Program. We kind of want to keep it in the scope of what we're doing right. I believe it's 6 children, and all abandoned children from very hard situations. Like one of the children was abandoned in a toilet at birth, left by a mother and bound by somebody. Other children were burned by family members with cigarettes. So all the physical and emotional scars they carry, there's a family up there who's taken them in and loved on them and has needed help doing it. And so you knew this family and came forward with it, talked to me about it. We came up with a program and figured out how to do that because it's out of state. So there's a few things about, you can't do it business to business. We had to do it business to family, and we work around some of those things. But we were able to get all that together in such a way that it met the criteria of what we're doing. And so we'll give a monthly stipend to that family to help them. So it tends to go to, I'm sure, a little bit of Medicare, but medical work, but at the same time, sports that they couldn't do, the $200 contribution if you want to play baseball or these kind of things. So it gives them some extracurricular activities for this family to kind of keep everything going. So
that was a burden on me every time. We know these people from the community, and it was just a burden that this nation shares. It's a black eye to our nation, right? And some people are stepping up, like this amazing family, to say we can help here. And I know there's stress there financially. I know there's all that. So you didn't miss a beat, and we felt that call and we stepped in. I'm proud of that. Yeah. And we recently got many notes with thank yous and pictures and all that stuff, and it's good stuff.
Oh man,
so,
it's just nice to know it makes a difference sometimes, doesn't it?
Yeah, it really does. And to see it, sometimes you give and you don't see it, and then just to know, to see that we gave to a thing. I'm just that guy. I'm kind of that skeptic to everything's a ripoff until it isn't. You know what I mean? So to know 100% that this is going where you sent it it's a good feeling.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know how it's processing through too.
Yeah. Tell me about this thing. What's this? The Lineage Ride 2019. What was that about? I love this video. I love this trip. I love everything about it.
That was quite a deal. Well, you were experienced when you did Lance's ride.
Yeah.
And what year was that?
2010. 2010. I did 12,000 miles up to Alaska and back.
And I think you knew that the concept was really a great concept. The Able Shepherd program will receive it well.
Yeah.
And so you came up with the Lineage Ride, and I think you were thinking about how to bring that concept of Lance, what it meant to memorialize Lance and all that he had done, and make it real for us. So you transferred it to the lineage so each one of us could ride for our lineage. And there were some wonderful stories, and we would tell them along the way. And particularly, I remember the night in Bozeman when we were at that hotel with all the Bozeman people, and we went around, and you kind of selected different people around the room. And we were telling our stories about why we rode. And very touching kind of stuff, beautiful. Yeah. And then, of course, when you take 2 weeks and a day, something like that. Is that what it was, BK?
All right.
And you wear yourself down to the bare minimums. Boy, is it raw and real. And you could have seen incredible fighting coming out of it, disruption, and very strong memories of a couple. So I'm in my truck every day, trading off with BK and Tim Brown as to who's going to pull it that day. So if you got the trailer and you're in front, and you got to always sync up, the mapping and get all that straight so people don't go flying off in different directions. And we were coming back up, and we pulled over, and everybody was dead tired. We were coming out of California, I think, on our way up to Oregon. And it was stringing out and getting tough. And you would shoot back on that. You always reminded me of these movies I see in Europe with those incredibly talented BMW motorcycle cops flying around up and down stairs and stuff like. You would shoot around on that thing, and you would come check in with me, then shoot all the way back down the road to kind of pull these guys back in. I said, wow, that's just like leadership and strength, unbelievable in a time of need. So that, and the fact that when you've got a lot of type A's on a trip together, you got to have a strong leader to keep that form together. You get a lot of common sense guys around who you don't blow apart, but it's exhausting, it's tiring. People want their certain ways of doing things. But we really held together against a lot of tiredness, a lot of exhaustion, pulling in, turning around, heading out again so fast, covering all that ground, with so much emotion packed into it every step of the way. You can see those pictures. I mean, everything was just like a dream. Like every one of those meals. Yeah, that's me. That's what I'm taking, man. Get a real line, Jimmy. I got to take a nap.
Do you remember? I'm going to go a little deeper on that one. That was an emotional ride for me. My dad was helping me plan that ride.
Yeah.
And we lost him on a motorcycle accident prior to that. Do you remember those conversations? Another image of Pinkham just speaking wisdom. I was about ready to hit the road that night. Do you remember that?
I do.
Do you remember? You want to talk about that? I remember a little bit. I don't know if I can talk about it.
Yeah. Well, your father died of a nasty accident, and it all came fast, and you wanted to get back quick. So we were talking we started talking maybe 2 or 3 in the afternoon. This was carrying on till maybe 5. And your intention was, I'm just going to shoot through. You've done that a long time. I said, Jimmy, please, man, don't do that. That's just too much. And jumped on, found a hotel out somewhere in Kansas, I believe, right? I said, go to here and then go in the next day, because, man, if you trash yourself physically, emotionally, you're just not going to have what you need. And it's just not safe. Even for you, it's not safe to take off this late with this much emotional pain and exhaustion and shoot across. So I don't think that was any great wisdom. I think he was just willing to listen to some common sense there.
If I remember correctly, it was had a late night, just it had been a busy day, got the news midday, emotional roller coaster, trying to do those things where I check in with the team and give them, they're like, get out of here, go right now, don't even worry about anything. Felt the need to take care of my family. And if you remember, you didn't even ask, you were like, I booked a hotel room.
Yeah,
it was already, this is a done deal. I was like, do me a favor, could you stop in, get a couple hours, if any, I'm just, again, not forcing it down my throat, because that's going to hit my button. It's like, I could go there and back, time me, you know what I mean? And I'm a mess, right? So I'm trying to figure this out. So I did zip out about halfway, and then crashed for a little bit, and got some sleep, and then got back up. So that's just one of the many. Like, we could keep going, and then ended up writing as one of the people. It was called Lineage Ride, to honor your lineage, because we know that none of us got here without our lineage, our line of our people, and then ended up writing for my dad as one of the people. I had some buddies, Lance, Mike Sayre, like these Navy SEAL guys, Tyrone Wood, guys from my lineage. These are all people that helped me build my story. And then ended up adding him to that list. So it was an amazing experience. My mom joined us on that.
Yeah,
we did this big old trek out there. Navy SEAL buddies rolling out. We ended at 511 and had a little beverage. That's us bringing it home right there. How about that for timing? Look at that.
Never happened.
Yep, the list is too long, Pinkham.
Up in the park.
So thanks for everything. Look at that on cue.
Wow.
How about that? That's Glacier National Park, right? Avalanche Lake.
That's a tired guy, see?
Yeah. Wow. So we were out of order a little bit. To step into a guy who's a mess but has a vision, going for a thing that somehow related, it landed. We've talked about this and explored it, but not on camera. Why me?
That had to have been divine. Because I've met some other SEALs now, great guys, all this stuff, but I had really no need or desire to create long relationship or go real deep into it, that kind of thing. So it wasn't that. And I think it was the grip, it's right back to it. It just fit.
Yeah.
And we are different people in a lot of ways, and yet well suited to help each other. So
You got some
Did I leave one hanging there?
No, you got nothing.
That's yeah, thanks.
Kleenex on her.
So I can remember early on, there was a guy who wrote the books about the outliers, and I'd take a picture from that book, the cover of the book, and there's an oval there. It has an arrow going in every direction out of the circle. And then it shows an arrow over to a circle that just has one arrow going a long way in one direction. I said, hey, Jimmy, you got it. This is something you need to see, brother. And which I'm such a fan of that. That kind of, I really live by that. And the older I get, the less I like to waste time going in a false direction. I just feel like I would waste a year of my life if I did it. It's that critical to me. So I'm always shooting for that arrow one direction a long ways. And that's not true to your nature. You have this immense energy and curiosity, and you do it. I mean, you go a lot of directions, and you go hard. And it doesn't seem to bother you. It doesn't bother you like it bothers me to do that. So there's kind of the yin-yang of you and I, the way we talk all the time. Now, I think after 2 years of trying to convince you of that, I sort of backed away from that. There got easier things to do that. Except I think you know that I think that, and there's just a balance, because you even laugh at me. Hey, I see I got it this time. I did this. You're teasing me about.
See, I learned stuff.
Yeah, see, I can learn
I'll
stuff.
listen sometimes.
So, but we were just down the road, and you had shared so much of your life. You've been so transparent and shared so much of your life that I knew your wife, I knew your children, I knew when you got pregnant with Eden Joy, and how nobody saw that one coming. And so there was a certain amount of adjustments that had to be made to all that, and when Duke died and all those things. And so it just became a part of it. And I think that, as my dear wife knows about me, that I don't really attach to my family per se. I attach to those who I believe are my family. And that's what happened, I think. And you're the right type of guy for me to attach to, because it's like, I don't really measure people by what they say too much. I measure them kind of by what they do, their actions, and are they continuous to what they say, and they continue, and do they serve and care about a higher cause? Do they care about the people around them? So that's just like a slam dunk with you. So it's all those get checked off. And then I find that the way I contribute, like there was a time kind of midway through, I had to check myself up and say, hey, you've got to remember with Jimmy that, if you try to clamp down on things too much to make them go a certain way you want to, you might be stepping in his way and God's way and everybody's way and doing that. You got to reset the way you look at these things and step back and get out of the way. And it seems like better things happen. I always think that's because the Spirit comes in and can work better if I'm not screwing it up. And so things like that happen. There's a learning curve for both of us. I've learned as much as you have as a result of these 6 years together. And I've received as much as you have for these 6 years going together. So, it's not always easy. It's not always a cakewalk, but it just seemed to have such meaning and conviction. And really, I look at where we're at today, it's a very different, much stronger operation than it was back then. So everybody can take a piece of that and just enjoy it for all the success of going forward.
I remember that specifically when you said there's certain things in my mind that have just stuck and found a little place marker, is when you said that, you said, you know what, because there is a business model and we follow that kind of, right? Because there's a way business must run. And many times I'm like, brother, I don't feel called to do it that way. And after about the fifth time, you came to me and you said, you know what, God is in this. Like, you're working in the Holy Spirit. Who am I to get in the way of that?
Yeah.
Just go.
Yeah.
And it was just a kind of a shift in our thinking, and it's just worked.
It was necessary.
Yeah.
I could hear that message too. That is like, hey, you gotta, instead of letting your ego want to drive a point, you got to step back and let this big thing happen. You're just a part of this big thing, not controlling it.
Yeah, and I think we both did. And one of the markers for me was that picture of you and I at the gala. Remember that?
Oh, yeah.
It just seemed like somewhere in there something broke loose, and man, it's been friggin' green lights.
Yeah.
You know, so that has been just absolutely amazing.
Wow.
So Able Shepherd, we talked about what is Able Nation and what does it mean to you. What's Able Shepherd and what does it mean to you? I think you touched on it a little bit. Camaraderie, you know how that. Tell you what, let's branch off of that because we did touch on it a little bit. Bruce Combs was a big deal for us.
Oh,
you want to take a stab at it?
Yeah.
You remember the email? Because you told me about this. Because I go so fast, I miss emails, I miss communication. You said it was kind of a solemn, like, brother, you got a minute? Did you see this email? I didn't see it. Got a minute to talk about it?
Yeah. It was interesting that the three guys that came off the Warrior podcast were Bruce, Nick, and Jason. Three stellar guys. And I got to know them all on the front end because when they were calling in at that time, I was doing the front end of that and getting to know those guys on the phone, kind of their story and what they're trying to accomplish. And so in Bruce's case, he was down in, what was the town?
New Mexico?
Yeah,
I forget the town.
I can't remember the little town. Down where all those hot peppers come from in the south of New Mexico. Yeah.
Was it Hatch? Is that where it was?
He's right out of Hatch, just right beside Hatch. And he came up, he was an electrician, and he also had a gun store down there, and he did some training, and he wanted to come up and get some training. And he did, and he had children up here, so he enjoyed coming up. He and his wife would travel up. And he did his training, and he was pretty good. You know, he was obviously not a beginner when he came in. And he struggled a bit with the Able Shepherd program and getting there. He's doing the 5 days and that kind of thing. He was having to come back. But he really loved it, and it had a deep meaning to him. Because I think, like all of us, it gave him a new sense of confidence with the ability to protect his family and the people around him and that kind of thing. That's a big deal to people who don't have those skill sets.
Yeah.
I think he was enjoying that new sense of that. And then as we were tracking along, I would say over, what do you think, maybe a year?
Something like that.
Then he sent a message that he was struggling with cancer, and he was off to Houston to the medical center to try to get it under control. And he was there only a month or two, and then he sent us that message saying, listen, it's not working. My body is failing, but my warrior spirit is strong. And he said, I don't know if it's possible, but if you guys would do an honorary, God, Jimmy, every time we tell this story.
He said if there was because he's a colorful guy, if there was a Make-A-Wish Foundation for old farts, is what he said. It would have been to have been becoming Able Shepherd.
Yeah. And so, like we do, on 1 day notice, we talked to Angie and giving us her car.
Thank you, ma'am.
Yeah, it was a little cheaper on gas.
A little better gas.
And we shot down there. And you had the whole ceremony planned. We were kind of working on a couple of things. I think driving down, you were driving the second half, and then we were getting ready. We got there 3 PM. They had a few friends at the house. We hadn't seen Bruce. We didn't know what kind of shape he was in, but he was in bad shape.
Wasn't good. Yeah.
A wheelchair or in his bed. And so very shortly after we got there, we kind of got around in the living room, set him up, and got there, and you did a ceremony for him, giving him his excuse me, getting choked up with it. Giving him his, did the ceremony, gave him his coin, gave him his hat and his patch, and he was deeply touched, as were all the other people in the process too. And
this was red carpet. When we rolled up, they're waiting for us. They right this way. It was coming in. They had it all set. It was an emotional deal.
It was an emotional deal. Then we all had hamburgers together, hung out, and it was still very emotional because now we were just dealing with how long. And his wife had said to us, remember we walked out back, that now that this has happened, I think it'll be okay for him to go. And that was the sense of it.
Yeah.
And I think, what was it, 3 days?
Yeah.
We went back. We headed out that night. We went like maybe 100 miles back and got a motel. and then left the next morning, and he was dead within 3 days. It was exactly like she said. He was so happy in that bed that night. We were sitting on the side with him. Yep. He was sitting up and as skinny as he could be with all that cancer, and he was just delighted. So a meaningful trip. One of those exhaustive and meaningful trips.
Yeah.
So, well done.
Brother. Man.
You always make me do the crying.
I know, right?
I'm a natural.
What are you gonna miss, brother? I want to say that this is a new page. This isn't like a goodbye. Like this is Able Nation continues. The meetings continue, though. Zoom and phone calls, and we're already planning a motorcycle trip and all that kind of stuff. And the family's coming out to see the Pinkham Ranch and get on a boat and all that stuff.
Trace down there.
What are you gonna miss?
Wow, you asked me that the other day, and I started saying, ask me in 6 months, because I'm like so stunned trying to get all this done. But I've already moved back from the training somewhat. But it's still right there. Like the other day, I was saying, hey, I'm doing this, and this. What should I do, Jimmy? And you were just like, try this, add this into your repertoire, what you're doing. So obviously the group is a big deal, but 90% of this is you and me. And then there's the events, like the Murph and all those things are just first class. They're so much fun to be a part of that kind of thing. And then, what always scares me about doing this is anytime you make one of those ventures out, things happen. And it gets quieter, you get farther distance with time, that kind of thing. So right now I don't sense any missing, except to say I know that that's not a realistic viewpoint. It's just that between trying to close out work, trying to close out a house, get it sold, trying to deal with some health issues and that kind of thing, it seems like there's not much time to feel anything yet. So I can tell that I'm on mission mode and I just kind of all blocked up on that level, which is why I stretch it out a little bit. But I know the impact is going to be, there's not going to be a BK down there. There's not going to be a Jimmy Graham right around the corner. There's going to be 2 sons, 2 granddaughters, my wife, who deserves this finally, to get down with her granddaughters. There's going to be this new thing that's happening, which is different but very golden. And it's this that I don't understand, this split. What does it do to have distance between? Because everybody knows it makes some difference. So I take so much for granted. I think I'll have a better sense of it pretty quick, but I know it's really going to be in those corner bakeries and those thought patterns and those things that have time to mature because you give it time. Can you do it over phone? Can you do it the other ways? I don't know yet. That's kind of that's the part that's hard for me, is I know I'm crashing ahead as I always do, bullheaded, as Vanjie knows, and that to get this done, it takes a lot of energy to get it done. So focused and being so bullheaded on that hasn't allowed me a lot to emote about this yet.
Yeah.
So I'm struggling with that.
I know it meant a lot to you in one of our last meetings. We were talking about this, and it was this is the honor in what you're doing. We've talked a lot about modeling. You can tell anybody whatever you want, but you have to model it for it to be genuine. And you're saying, oh, Jimmy Graham and hard charger and leader and all this other stuff. And you had, after we had this discussion, you texted me and you called me. Like usually it's just, we just let it go and then we'll catch it on next week. And a couple times you hit me up and said, thank you for that. That meant a lot. And I was like, what are you talking about? We always talk about this level. But in particular, I talked about modeling. I can't model this for you. The sage has to show us how to retire.
Yeah.
Sage has to show us how to invest in his family. And it's honorable, and I appreciate it, and I need to see it so I know how to do it, right? Your words, your actions, because what you've invested into me and my family in this business, you've earned it. You've earned your words have more weight than most with Jimmy Graham, right? With me, right? Because you earned it by protecting me through a time when I was scared and I couldn't do it, right? So I think that meant a lot to you. We still mean it. We're not going anywhere.
Yeah,
and you just be further away. But that's what I'm going to miss is having that the face to face and they're comical. I mean, it sounds like we're just knocking out the business stuff. I would say 20% is us talking about business.
Yeah,
we're laughing and bumping people, and we're doing the thing. And the people love us. The Gabriella, the waitress, and we're just having a good time and sharing life together. I had said something, and we can kind of head towards the end of this on this, is that we talked about business. We talked about dog eat dog. We talked about our walk with Christ. And I said, we're doing this right or not at all.
Yeah.
So can that be done? You said, I believe it can. Any words on that? What have we got right?
Well, when I look, number one, the Graham family, everybody raves about how good those Graham kids are. That we got to watch. I don't think that's me, but I want to say I enjoyed that process a lot. Two, the program has grown dramatically and maintained the integrity it set off to maintain, the same quality. And really not too many problems in doing that. There are some people come along who don't want to live by the kind of the code that Abel Shepherd. A few cases, and you set that straight pretty quick. But in an area, I would say that gun training is not a world that on par is a what I call a high integrity world. It's everybody trying to kind of prove what a fat ass they are.
Fake tough.
Yeah, fake tough. Yeah, exactly right. A lot of F-bombs and all that kind of stuff. So I haven't always loved the whole culture of it. But the culture that's maintained with the integrity it's maintained, which is even as good or better today than it started at, means you've held the course on that process. You've the one that led the way on there. And with you and I have had time in the quiet to reassess what that looks like. And I'd say every one of them been great. That really, there's times you don't agree, to see it differently, but really, the path has just been going forward. So I've gotten to kind of come alongside you and see it and then be a part of it. I'm not really doing it, but what I am doing is sharing those times with you to keep refueling on what that means, keep coming back on track what that means and that kind of stuff. So I don't think that happens in a lot of groups, in a lot of organizations, but I don't think most of the organizations I've been in have been about money and a lot of cruelty. But you're just there, you're just like a gladiator for them as long as you get a lot of money, but you're going to get axed one of these days. But here, it's like it's, Christ-driven. It keeps the growth that goes beyond us that we keep pursuing. And I think that's what just drives such a dramatic difference. And so many people are committed to that same concept. Not all see it that way, but they like what they see anyway. And that's fair enough. Whatever brings them here, I hope that they share and see that as well. But I think that's a lot of the magic of it, Jimmy. Did I get off track with that?
Not at all. It's good stuff, brother.
Yeah.
We done good.
We done good.
Got one more thing, brother. We're going to wrap it up. But I had mentioned something to you, so I'm going to drop this bomb, is that through all of our time together, and especially this transition period, right, where we're turning a page, there's going to be some distance, still got my 6, by the way?
I do.
You got me? Okay.
I do.
From Louisiana, and spent some time thinking about this, and I mentioned to you, and you got kind of emotional about it. I'm going to lose it right here.
Yeah.
The word legacy came up. And I called Melissa because that's what she needs is another thing, another one of my ideas, right, in her spare time. And I said, we're creating a new line. And it's going to be, you know what I'm talking about? And it's going to be an heirloom gift. I'm big on quality. I'm big on legacy and family. And we call it an heirloom line, meaning this has been in my family for 100 years. This was my grandfather's grandfather, right? In this world of Chinese plastic garbage, there's still quality out there, and I want to bring that back. Things like my grandfather's Bible that he gave to me, that he wore in his pocket over his heart. It's got a lead front or a metal front, wore over his heart during World War II.
Oh, wow.
It's just those kind of things. So we want to create that for families, and And I thought about this, and I said, how can I assure Neil that his legacy will live on here? So the line will be called NP Sage. So Neil Pinkham Sage. And the concept is that this is a high quality thing. This is not chintzy. This is like amazing stuff that lives on in your family and others. Everything will be logged to say that it's genuine. There's 2 items. They're going to start this legacy of this new line within our company. So I wanted to share this with you. So what does an old cowboy need when he's heading off to the wilds of Louisiana? You're going to have to track on me, brother.
Look at that, baby.
So a little bit of a story here. Leather gun belt. This has been checked for all the haters out there. I'll show you as we sit here in the Marriott.
Listen to that.
Right? So 45 Colt.
Oh my gosh.
Because it's got to be. And I don't know if you can read that right there, but there is as if a signature, a fine signature. The logo for this new endeavor is going to be this signature NP Sage.
Oh, wow.
And every item that we produce, because it was born out of Abel Shepherd, will have a hidden crook and shield. So an embedded crook and shield somewhere, very discreet, very hard to see because you wouldn't be on this end of the.
Yeah.
Unless you've done wrong. Unless you've done evil, then you might run that in.
But
that gate wouldn't be open, right?
Oh my gosh.
And then, remember when I went to the stock farm in Montana?
Oh yeah.
It's a handmade. I'm a big fan, like blades. I like designs, and this one's unique. So, obviously, NP Sage there, and then the hidden crest right there.
Oh my gosh. Look at this. That's a classic. Oh,
I don't know how much of that you heard. Sorry, I forgot. I scrambled it on you. And, BK wants
that is a beauty.
Wants the heads up when I can jump around and do audio visual challenges, but
got his hands full tonight on this crew.
But that's yours, brother.
Heidi and Gretchen are jumping around.
They're going heels. Heidi and Gretchen are going heels.
Wow, Jimmy, that is an awesome setup right there. Look at that.
So,
jeez, fine workmanship. Look at that leather work too. Wow.
So the only request is a picture down on the range in Louisiana of you going heels down there and showing those boys how to shoot.
Yeah. Grass out there.
There'll be straw in there. And please say hello to the family. Got some fine boys and a beautiful family out there. And Miss Vanjie, obviously you deserve this. And thank you for loaning us this man and being a part of this community. We love you guys so much. There's too much to mention. So thank you.
There is.
Love you guys.
Us. In just such a beautiful way. I'm so touched.
Thank you.
Yeah. And the boys can see this. A real chapter for them to see.
They can watch this. They can shoot that. They can go stab stuff.
Oh my gosh. That's what we do down there.
So it is Louisiana.
It is Louisiana. Jeez, Jimmy.
So I'll give you the the parting thoughts or the final thoughts, but I wanted to end with saying thank you. You saw, we talked about this. We're vets. I think that there's so much what this world needs is leaders to step out. In particular, that I've got some guys in my history and my peer group that have taken their own lives, that have lost their mission, and I needed a new mission. And I launched off on one, and I forgot the concept of teams. I tried to go solo, and I didn't have those tools. And you came alongside me, and you protected me on the finances. You protected me, and you came alongside as a brother, spoke my language, eased into that, and helped me get to a place where there's growth for the family. And I don't much of that stuff. When it comes from somebody who's lived it, it means more. So I know what you saw. I know that you found a place where you could help, and you didn't stack another book on my head. You said, "Let me take some weight off, and let you move a little bit." And I'll never forget those words of "Go be you." Like the world needs you. This stuff, I can do this, and I've got it. So don't even worry about it. It's taken care of. Go be you. And that's what we did, and it worked. So thank you, and God bless you, brother.
Thank you, brother.
You got the final words.
Well, it's funny that each one of those steps was natural and not hard to make. It wasn't a master plan, and I didn't have it all written down. I just sort of stepped in those places that seemed to be a place to help. I think that starting to build that shoot house up at the gun club might have been some of our transitionary times into financials and that kind of stuff. So, when they say the yoke is light, job is easy, that's kind of what it was. It was just one step after another, and it seemed to be building and growing. And I don't know either of us would have thought 6 years later we'd be here right now, but we are. And thank you, Jimmy, for the ride. It's been wonderful. It's not over, and we'll see what the next chapters owe. Because I do feel like this is a big walk down a new chapter of our life, and I fear irrelevance, and I don't want to become that. And but it sure hasn't been irrelevant in the last 6 years.
It's crazy, brother.
So that's what I say, man. It was a natural walk with tons of rewards.
Well, God bless you and your beautiful family down there. And we love you guys. And you know where we're at. I know that when we break ground on the new building, I'll have you up and help me cut a ribbon. I'll let you cut it, actually. Yeah. And then show us how to do this, brother.
Absolutely.
How to invest in your family, how to retire, how to invest in your family, and live this chapter of your life.
Yeah.
I love you.
Thank you. I love you, Jimmy.
Got one more request. They're going to kick us. Hopefully, well, we're a little over. They haven't kicked us out yet because we reserved this room. We're at the Marriott in Lone Tree. Can we walk to the bar, and can we have one more Coors banquet before you roll out?
Yes, we can.
All right.
Yes, we can.
We're going to close out, guys. So thank you for joining us. This was a special one for us. I hope you enjoyed it, and God bless you, Sage. And he'll be on future podcasts, probably via Zoom. Love you, Vanjie. Love you, my brother.
Yeah, me too.
Truly do.
Love you too.
All right,
brother.
Well, until we see you guys again, we'll catch you on the next episode. God bless you guys. Take care of one another.